What's up everyone, welcome back. Today we're playing Samut, Vizier of Naktamun. Hopefully I said that correctly. In Historic Brawl, 3 mana Gruul Commander, 2/3 Human Warrior Cleric, First Strike, Vigilance, Haste. Whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, if that creature entered the battlefield this turn, draw a card. So essentially it's a Haste Matters commander, right? When our creatures enter the battlefield and do combat damage to our opponent, we get to draw cards. And I believe, if I read this correctly, whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player. So if we cast multiple creatures with haste in a turn, if each of those does combat damage, we draw a card. Because it says whenever a creature, not whenever one or more creatures, right? So we draw a card for each creature that does hasty damage. So we have a bunch of haste creatures in the deck, a bunch of haste enablers in the deck, like giving our creatures riot. One of my favorite sneaky cards is Urbrass Forge, which at the beginning of combat on your turn, put an oil counter on this artifact, and then create an X1 red Phyrexian horror creature token with trample and haste, where X is the number of oil counters on this artifact. Sacrifice that token at the beginning of the next end step. So because this, even though this is a token, right, it enters the battlefield this turn, and once this has like 3 or more counters on it, it becomes a 3/1, a 4/1, 5/1, 6/1, on, and it's got haste and trample. So likelihood is that it's gonna do combat damage because it's gonna run over whatever tries to block it, right? And we don't care about it dying because it sacrifices it at our end step anyway, and we get a new one on our next combat. So this is like a automatic card draw every turn if we get this down early enough in the game. And not to mention, the creature can get huge if the opponent doesn't remove this artifact. I mean, 6 turns go by and all of a sudden you're getting hit by a 6/1, then a 7/1, right? And if we have Rhythm the Wild, then it actually ends up being bigger because we can give it Riot and give it a +1/+1 counter, as well as other stuff in the deck, or Halana Elena, right, and make it gigantic. So sneaky little card, taking advantage of the wording of this card right here. But I really love this card. I owned it in paper, cracked it in one of my, one of the handful of new Phyrexia packs I opened. But really cool card that works with our commander really well. Some other support: Impact Tremors. Whenever a creature enters the battlefield under your control, do 1 damage to each opponent. Not everything in the deck is a hasty creature, although a lot of it is, but a lot of it is just extra damage too, because we're a Gruul deck trying to do quick damage with haste, draw cards, do more damage. But to close the game out, we need a little bit of extra damage through our, Impact Tremors and our Lightning Bolts, our Shocks, just to get that last little bit of damage down, because we are dealing with 25 life on the opponent. As well as Terror of the Peaks. Same idea as Impact Tremors, just way better. First of all, this is a 5/4 flyer, so that's already great. Spells your opponents cast that target this cost 3 life, so it's essentially got ward 3, pay 3 life. And then whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, Terror of the Peaks deals damage equal to that creature's power to any target. So, we have a hasty creature come down. Let's say it's well, I guess that's not hasty, but let's say it's Bloodbraid Elf, so it's a 3/2. So we have a Bloodbraid Elf, which is a hasty cascading 3/2, but we also, with Terror of the Peaks, now do 3 damage to our opponent before it even does damage, right? So we're doing a ton of damage. And that's basically the idea of the deck. And then, besides the obvious card draw from our commander, there's the Great Henge and Garruk's Uprising, which also gives trample to everything. And somewhere in here is Tribute to the World Tree. There it is. Typical mana base. I didn't go crazy with the MDFCs like I normally do, or people claim that I do. I tried to keep all the lands able to be untapped. There are a couple of MDFCs in here, like Kazul's Fury. Again, this is just another way to close out the game because it does direct damage to our opponent's face. But I didn't include a ton. This is another, just removal spell. We can have our creatures fight, and then this is a ramp creature, but I think that's really it. Maybe, oh yeah, Shatter Skull Smashing's right here. Just, another removal spell. But this one could come into play untapped. Same with what's that other one? It's like the triple green. It looks at our like the top X cards of our library, and we get to put a peach. Oh, this one, Turn Temper Symbiosis, can come into play untapped. So these to me don't really count as MDFCs in the sense that they don't. We have the option to have them come into play untapped if we pay 3 life. So they don't have the downside of MDFC is what I'm trying to say, which normally come into play tapped. So that's most of these. I think actually all these lands come into play untapped, or have the ability to come and play untapped, like Layer the Hydra if we play it in our first 2 lands, or some of these other ones, you know, are conditional untapped. But in a deck where we're trying to be very fast, we want a lot of lands that come to play untapped. We don't want to be messing around with tapped lands too much. So we'll see if I did a good enough job with this, but I think at least 90% of these lands are untapped lands. All right, so that's the deck. Not a lot to explain beyond that. We'll kind of see how it works when we get into the games. Viewer suggested this deck, so thanks to that viewer. If you have a deck that you'd like me to play, suggest that commander down in the comments. I read all the comments, and I have a giant list of commanders that people have been asking me to play. I write them all down, and at some point I will get to all of them, I promise. So, thanks for the suggestions. If you like this kind of content, subscribe if you're new to the channel. Thanks for watching. I've seen this deck on ladder before. I don't think it's a Hellq commander. It's been a topic of debate recently in some of my videos. What constitutes a Hellq commander? I'm not really sure at this point. I think it's just purely based off the commander you're playing, and then like there's some supplemental factors like how many rares and mythics are in your deck, but really the like main factor is what commander you're playing. So Tamiyo, spells and abilities your opponents control can't cause you to discard cards, sacrifice permanents, choose an on-land card name, reveal the top 4, put in your graveyard, return a target card. Simic control, maybe? I don't know. We get to go first. We have all our colors. We have some good cards. We're not doing anything before turn 3 though. So that's a little awkward. But, yeah, I think we keep. They're in Simic, which is good for us because they don't have removal. They have, like, bounce, and they have creatures, but they don't have removal. Nice. Drew the turn 2 play. Feels good. Paradise Druid? Huh. Would you like to block with your Paradise Druid? Draw a card. Impact Tremors. Nice. We'll see if they go for Tamiyo. Mesmeric Orb. We don't really care about that. Oh, they're a mill deck? Interesting. I own this card in paper. And this one, actually. I have a mill commander deck. Mono green mill. It's a funny deck. I'll play it at some point on the channel. We could do Questing Beast or Halana and Elena. I think we go Questing Beast, right? If they're gonna try to mill us, we gotta kill them quick. We can Kenris Transformation this guy if we need to. Again, we don't really care about the mill. We have 100 cards in our deck. So they got to do some serious mill for me to start worrying about it. Yeah. Yeah. Simic mill, huh? I don't know about that one, opponent. I don't know about that one. Maybe it's not a mill deck. Maybe, well, it's gotta be because this is a mill card, right? I was gonna give them the benefit of the doubt and say Mesmeric Orb could technically work in their deck because Tamiyo gets stuff back from the graveyard. So maybe they're trying to self-mill themselves, and then the byproduct of this card is that it mills us, so it's like a win-win for them. But they also have this card, which I mean, I guess they could target themselves, right? Target player mills a card. This is like a popper deck, where you get a bunch of advisors out and then you mill them a bunch of cards, but oh, I guess they can have any number of these in their deck, so it gets around the commander singleton rule. I don't know. We would have found out whether they're trying to mill us or mill themselves, but what did they mill too? Yeah, look at that. Yeah, it's a mill deck. Okay. I don't know about that. I think there's better colors to play mill in. Obviously blue, but I don't know about Simic. Simic's a weird... I mean, I have a Pauper Simic mill deck, but the reason why it's Simic is because in Pauper it's really hard to play mill, and so you have to use a lot of fogs. So it's Turbo Fog, if you've ever heard of that kind of deck. You basically just fog the opponent every turn and then mill them and then fog them and then mill them until they're out of cards. It's very, very slow, but that's the reason it's in Simic, for green for fogs, blue for mill. But in Historic Brawl, there's got to be better mill commanders than Tamiyo. That just doesn't really make a lot of sense to me. Okay. Props to the last opponent for trying, though. I mean, if they're trying to brew stuff, I mean, I'm all about that. Omnath, Locus of All, 5-color, pretty much 5-color multicolor spells matters commander. It is a 5/5, or sorry, a 4/4. We have both our colors. Impact Tremors. Render's Transformation is good. We just need to draw lands. And this is a good hand. We have stuff to do on turn 2 if we don't draw lands. And we get to go first, so I think we keep. This will be turn 1 since we don't have a forest to make this come into play untapped. Okay. We'll do it like this. Set up, set up, set up. Do the land. I guess we just go for our commander. Incremental damage from Impact Tremors. Draw a card. Urbrask is nice. They might not be a creature deck, but it, you know. Looking like definitely not a creature deck if they have the Celestis. That's usually an indicator of a control deck. Okay. Does this have haste? We can blow up their Celestis. Is that worth it? This gets rid of Omnath. I don't think we need to draw cards right now. I think we need to handle their board. Yeah, I'm not blue or black opponent. I'm Gruul. That was a waste of your Veil of Summer. Okay. Confused about that one. Omnath, sure. Max Punish. Wait. Well, okay. I meant to blow up their Celestis, but making it a 6/6 is not a bad idea either. So they can pay for their Omnath again if they want to. And then we'll Kenra's Transformation it. And, right? No, we'll just do this. Because this will clear the way for us to just kill them outright here. Yeah. I don't know why they cast Veil of Summer. That was bizarre. It's a great card, but against blue or black decks, which we are neither, so I don't know why they cast that. Maybe just to draw the card? I think it cantrips automatically, right? So maybe they're just trying to dig for something. Which is... It's not like a bad play, but it's just weird that they kept that hand with that card, right? You feel like they would have... If that was their best play to dig for something, you feel like they would have kept a better hand, right? Because we were still in our starting hands, essentially. We'd only each played maybe like 3 cards, so I don't know. Maybe they drew it. Who knows? Ashiok. This can create creatures, but it doesn't come down until they have 5 mana. They could have Dark Ritual, get it out early. We have all our colors and ramp, and I don't know, I guess we keep... Mono Black's tough because they have a lot of creature removal, so this might be a tough one. They get to go first. Yeah, there's the Dark Ritual. Although they can't play their commander with that. Okay. I mean, that's a pretty fair play. Well, Elvish Mystic. I would have maybe held that a little longer if it were me, but that's fine. There's no stick so far. So I don't think they have removal. Let's go get our dual land. Do we have a turn 2 play? Yes. We can do our commander, and if they have removal, they gotta fire it off now, and they don't. Okay. Ooh, we talked about this in the intro. Black has no way to interact with artifacts, so this is a wonderful card. This is, I mean, they can clear our board, but they can't get rid of this. See what they do here. Cruelty. Search for something. Creature or planeswalker. Well, there's lots of creatures to choose from. Take your pick. Questing Beast, I would imagine, yeah. Okay. Do we care about the Llanowar? I think we care more about damage. I mean, if they have a card, I can't think of anything in mono black except for some of the really expensive artifacts that say it's like pay 7, destroy target permanent. That would get rid of this. They're gonna have a lot of things to get rid of my creatures, but I can't really think of anything that gets rid of this. Maybe oh, what is it? Ugin, baby Ugin, the 6 mana Ugin. Bolas the Citadel's pretty good. Baby Ugin gets rid of colored permanents, so this technically works. That would work for this, but it looks like they fetched Bolas the Citadel. Risky to start paying life, though. It's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it works out for them. They're gonna put their questing beast on the battlefield under their control. Okay. Let's go get another red source so we have burn down the house. This is indestructible? Yeah. Okay, what does this do? Map token. And becomes a 4/4. I think I'm gonna wait on burn down the house. Because they have Bolus's Citadel, so they can start playing stuff for free. They only have 12 life, so they gotta be pretty careful. We'll keep this as a land for next turn. We don't want to miss land drops, especially if they wipe our board. Let's not commit too heavy to the board. They do have a good blocker right now, so that was if this is what they got with Cruelty, then that's fine. We'll just do it like this. They'll block. This is eventually going to be big enough to start getting through on trample damage. Yep, they go get the questing beast. They don't have enough devotion for this to be a creature anymore. Ashiok. Let's see what they do. Oh, okay, now they do. Now they have enough devotion. This could kill their planeswalker. And the questing beast, which would make this not a creature anymore. Okay, so they plus here. They essentially half impulse, half regular draw. Well, I guess not impulse, but they put one in exile. Okay. And proliferate. Okay. They're trying to ultimate Ashiok, I guess. Grim Tutor. They're tapped out. We gotta wait till their end step, because they have Bolus's Citadel on the battlefield. I think they're smartly not activating it. Well, I guess now that this is down, this is a combo, right? So they don't have to pay life, they just exile cards instead. We'll see if they attack. We'll just block if they do, because our creatures are going to die anyway. Okay, so melt through your commander. Resolve. My turn. Pathway. Let's... Doesn't really make sense to attack. I mean, they might not block. I guess they can't block everything anyway, so doesn't really matter. Let the 1/1 go through. It doesn't... It's not the worst. Okay. Green. All right. They can replay their commander. But Urbrast's Forge is starting to get some counters on it, and they only have 8 life. We really need to find artifact removal for this Bolus's Citadel. That's the only thing keeping them in the game.
canvas for my art.
This Erebos is really annoying. They're gonna draw, okay.
This memory will do.
Yeah, it's a pretty good one. Man, yeah, the Bolus of Citadel. They got plenty of cards in the deck too, so they can just spam out all their best stuff here. I think they're pretty much winning here. We'll just chop it up. Good game. Yeah, they had the combo. They had the Bolus of Citadel Ashiok combo, so they don't have to pay life in order to use Bolus of Citadel, essentially. If they didn't have Ashiok down, there's no way they could cast all these, because they would have taken 5 and then 4, right? They would have been down. I think they had 8 life. Somehow they gained life. I'm not exactly sure how they gained life, but they were at like 8 or 9. And so this would have killed them straight up, just playing these 2 creatures. We gave it our best shot. One thing that's nice about playing an aggro deck is it's like, at a certain point, and it's usually early in the game, you can tell, we ain't gonna win this, and then you can just get out of there. One of the things that's tough about like the control decks I normally like to play is like, you really can't count yourself out until the very, very end, because you really could win. I've won, I mean, I've done it on this channel from 1 life. I'm down to 1 life. Everything looks like it's caving in on me, and I crawl my way back out and end up winning the game. Whenever it has the chosen color, yeah. So this mana fixes us. We get to go first. Tatiova is really good, but they're in Simic, so that works for us. This does let them gain life, which is a bummer, but hopefully we can be faster than them. This is definitely going to help. 1 blue. 1 blue. What's better? Oh man, there's so many good options here. It's gotta be Fable, right? I mean, this is just the best card. We can, yeah, it's gotta be Fable. It's tempting to attack them on an empty board, but there's Simic, so I'm not super worried about running into a wall like we did with the last deck. Plus, this is a landfall deck, not like a sea monster tribal deck. So they're gonna have creatures eventually, but they usually do a lot of setup first. They usually want to ramp to get this down and then do all their stuff. But we'll see. Suspicious 2 mana. Decline. I kind of like my hand. Counterspell. Bounce spell. Let me make a treasure. Draw a card. Sweet. Okay. Cool. Keep up the lightning bolt. They might play something that we want to kill. They're reading the card. Well, I guess they were mana screwed. How are you mana screwed in your landfall deck? Your deck should have like 42, 43 lands. You kept a 2-lander on a 5-mana commander? Maybe they just gave up? I don't know. I mean, we do have some good cards down, but I mean, like, this isn't oppressive at all. And this deck is nuts if they get Tatiova down. I don't know. I'm just going to assume they didn't hit their lands, which is absolutely insane for a landfall deck. We'll do one more because that game didn't really count. Mono blue blink. Okay. This is definitely a good deck. I built this deck too. So if you're curious about this deck, I have a video on it. Ramp. Otherwise it's kind of eh. This is an indestructible enchantment, so this does not get rid of it. This is pretty damn good though. I don't know, we'll try. We'll try it. We get to go first. Can't really complain about that. We care about Nissa before this, because this is... Well, first of all, it's going to make our mana... double our mana. So we want double green. That's the reason I'm mentioning this. Green. Because we could have chosen red, and we have another red source, so we could have done double red, but we want double green. Ooh. Oh, man. Yeah, let's just do this. Do it while they're on one blue. This turn, they might hold up double blue. It's definitely plausible in a mono blue deck. But we would much rather them counter this than this. Well, does this have haste or strike? Does not. We'll give them something to counter. Takes a counter out of their hand, which can't hit Nissa. Sure. You still gotta handle the board at some point, opponent. 3 mana? You gonna hold up 3 mana? And do nothing? Okay. I will just keep throwing things at you. If only this was Haywire Might. That'd be so good against them. They don't play Thassa. What? What are these opponents? What are they doing? You gotta slam Thassa, opponent. That's your only way back in this game. So, you know, Thassa, I'm sure you all have seen this card before, but for those who haven't, it essentially lets them blink, is it just creatures? Is it a target creature? Yeah. So, they have a bunch of blue cards in their deck that are like, you know, it's a creature that enters the battlefield and draws them a card. Well, now, every turn, they get to blink it and draw another card, right? Or a creature that says return a target creature to its owner's hand. So they get to blink that, and every turn they return a creature I control to my hand, right? And it gets really nuts, and they start blinking all sorts of different stuff, and their blink effects can blink their blink effects, and all of a sudden they're blinking their whole board and getting a ton of enter the battlefield triggers. But you got to set it up first with Thassa. Like, you got to get Thassa down on 4 mana. You still have 19 life, so yes, you're going to take 5 next turn, but you can definitely get back in the game with some of your blink stuff. I don't know. It's one of the things about aggro. If you can get under a deck, and what I mean by that is, like, you can be faster than them. A lot of the times people just don't have an answer to that. Mono blue too. I mean, they do have a lot of mass bounce effects. But what's tough is that we're in a low to the ground haste deck. So if they bounced all our stuff, we have enough mana to just replay it all and attack them directly. So it puts them in a tough spot. That's one of the fun things about this kind of style of aggro deck. I did want to play that last game, but I think we have time for one more. It's been about 45 minutes. I keep trying to play games, but people keep scooping early, so. But I mean, I think we've showcased how the deck works and, you know, why it's good. You know, it's a aggro deck that draws you cards just by being an aggro deck. What is this thing? Vigilance Menace, 6/4. Descend 8. Return, what is Descend again? Okay, return it from your graveyard to the battlefield with a finality counter on active when if there are 8 or more permanent cards in your graveyard and only as a sorcery. Okay. Interesting. I don't even know what they would be playing. So this will be a green source. Green source, red source. Then what? We have to draw a land. Otherwise we're doing nothing. This can... yeah. Risky, but we'll keep it. We get to go first, so we have one turn to fumble around. Otherwise the hand is good. It's full of a bunch of good stuff. Broker's Hideout. So it puts a permanent in their graveyard. So this is like a Descend deck. Permanents in the graveyard matter kind of deck. So hopefully we draw the land next turn. Okay, they hold up Counterspell Magic. Mana. Not magic. They hold up Counterspell Magic. Mana. Oh my god. Counterspell Mana. That's what I'm trying to say. Counterspell. Well, if... well, let's give them something to counter then. No? No stick? Okay. I called your bluff. What does this do? Okay, they gain life. Sure. I don't really want to get rid of anything. Maybe this. 5 damage to target creature. No, because that kills their commander. Yeah, I like my hand. So we will... do this. Utopia Sprawl. This guy. Get... what? More red? Yeah, because we already have double green. And we can play my commander. Make a treasure. They can block that, which they definitely should. But we get to draw a card now. Play the land. Do we equip this? Trample and lifelink? Eh. Maybe we'll try to get Vorinclex down. That'll really put some pressure on them. Okay, more permanents in the graveyard. Scary. Hopefully they don't have a way to get that back. So they're self-milling themselves a lot. This has Death Touch. This has First Strike. I don't know if they know how that works with Death Touch, but let's find out if they know their magic rules. Okay, now we have Fable. Power 4 or greater. We can make it have haste. Make it have haste. I think it's... Okay, hold on. I think it's better to do this. Next. We'll just attack with you. Let's see if they block. Yeah. They're about to find out. Find out how first strike works. Oops. Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6? No, cancel. We want to have Vorinclex mana. If we spend that treasure, we might not have Vorinclex mana next turn. Now, maybe they don't care because it puts a permanent in their graveyard, but I think they were hoping it would kill my guy. Oh my god, alchemy card. There's like a novel worth of text on here. Death Touch, when Underbridge Warlock enters the battlefield, you get a one-time boon with at the beginning of your end step. If there are 3 more creatures, if 3 more creatures die this turn, each opponent loses 5. You gain 5 life. At the beginning of your end step, if you have a boon, you mill 3 cards. Oh my. Okay, so I don't think this does anything except become a 5/4 blocker, right? Okay, maybe not. So they draw a card. My turn. Nissa, huh? So this has Death Touch. This... We can start making copies of stuff, which is really good. We can just kill it straight up, right? They have a lot of Death Touch stuff. It's really annoying. This can come back from the graveyard. It's +1/+1, but that's not enough. It would need to have 4 power. So we could play this and equip 2 here. Next. Give it 4. No, not you. It could block, but it'll die. They wisely do not block. End turn. Pass. Pass. No blocks. Pass. Blood on the snow. That is annoying. They have a bunch of snow mana too. 5, so they can get a creature back. Okay. There's not a lot I can do about it. But that does clear their creature. Let's see what else they get back. I mean, they could just get the same creature back, right? What is this? Okay. Big action. Yeah, my turn. Smashing. First strike protection from multicolor. At the beginning of your upkeep, sacrifice this. Unless you discard a card. When you discard a card this way, destroy target non-land permanent and opponent controls with mana value less than or equal to the mana value of the discarded card. Yeah, the thing probably has to die, right? So, you do it like this. We could just do it like this. But then if they discard a card that's 6 or greater, they can kill this. Non-land permanent's pretty tough. I don't really want them blowing up my non-land permanents. But then we can't do anything else, right? I don't think so. That's my whole turn. Yeah, we gotta play this as a land. Tapped. Go. They're doing a good job hanging around. Oh, Garuda. Oof. Yeah. Whiff. Okay. Sweet. Vorinclex. Draw a card. That's a nice one. Attach Shadow Spear. Would you like to block? No. They're in black, so they could have an answer for Vorinclex. Attack with the 6/6. Okay. They have a death touch creature. We have a flyer. Okay. Black market? Sure. I'm not sure why they haven't played their Serpent yet, but I'm glad they haven't. Or their Commander. I mean, they're both big creatures that are kind of hard for our deck to get around. But they don't know that. This is good against them. Okay, so if we let this through, next turn we have 11 coming at their face. Oh, that's an awesome one. Okay, hold on. I think I have lethal here. We'll find out. We will find out. I think I have lethal. Oh, perfectly. Yes. Oh, I didn't even do the math. I just believed. Now we just have to believe. That was a tough one. That was a lot tougher than I thought it would be. Usually Dimir deck doesn't have a lot of big creatures, right? That was kind of a unique Dimir deck where it was based around milling yourself to bring out big creatures with big effects. So that was a lot tougher than I thought it would be, that last Dimir deck. Very the opponent played really well. We just drew very well. The Garruk's Uprising was clutch. New set, so I gotta crack some packs, you know. Ooh, Rakdos card, what is this? Choose one or both. Destroy target creature, put a +1/+1 counter on target suspected creature you control. You may have it no longer be suspected. I don't know what that means. Okay. Collect evidence 3. Add 1 mana of any color. Put an unlock counter on Cryptex. Sacrifice it. Surveil 3, then draw 3 cards. Activate only if Cryptex has 5 or more unlock counters on it. Okay. Interesting. Cool. New cards. Let's do a deck review. So, yeah, this is a great Gruul deck. I think, you know, Samut's just a really well designed card in the sense that, so anytime you have the word draw a card attached to a commander, it's usually good, but not all of them are created equal. Sometimes you'll be in a color, like let's pretend this commander wasn't Gruul. Let's pretend it was Dimir, right? And it said, whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, if that creature enters the battlefield this turn, draw a card. That would be a much tougher build because, I mean, while there are hasty black creatures and I believe a couple hasty blue creatures, I don't know, maybe those don't exist, but that would be a much harder build around, right? But since they built this commander in Gruul, which is like the perfect place for hasty creatures, and this creature itself has haste and first strike and vigilance, right? It's the perfect blend of the ability plus the colors that support that ability. So you end up getting a lot of great creatures that already have haste, you know, just like old standard staples like Brushfire Elemental, you know. It's a 1/1 haster, but it has landfall, gets +2/+2 whenever a land enters the battlefield. So, you know, usually you're going to cast, you know, not cast, but you're going to play a land for turn. So this is minimum a 3/3 every turn with haste, right? So for 2 mana in Gruul, right? Like Gruul is the only effect, or the only guild that does this kind of stuff. So, you know, it was good card design in the sense that they married drawing a card with an ability or an outcome that this guild supports in hasty creatures. So I like it a lot. The deck performed really well, and it was fun to play an aggro deck for a change, you know, and not like a mono red or kind of like the generic ones you see all the time. Like Gruul is kind of it used to be really a lot more played, but it's kind of in all the formats fallen by the wayside recently. I haven't seen a Gruul, like a dominant Gruul deck since like Eldraine days, really. So it's nice to see a commander that is a solid, you know, Gruul commander. I know there's other ones like Halana Elena is another one that I'll probably do at some point, but this is a nice different kind of take on it, right? Like it's more of an aggro deck than Halana Elena. Halana Elena is about going tall. This deck's about going wide and fast. So if that's your kind of deck, I recommend checking it out. I think the build's pretty good. I added some of my like favorite cards like Enray's Forerunners, which is kind of like Craterhoof Behemoth Light, you know. But obviously Craterhoof Behemoth is better than this card, so not all the cards in here are like the perfect pick, but I think as long as you keep the curve low like it is here, like most of the cards are in the deck are 3 mana or less, and then the haymakers are really impactful like Terror of the Peaks we saw in that last game, I think you'll be fine, right? Just have a bunch of hasty creatures, preferably ones that you know, either have haste or some kind of ability to support the rest of your excuse me, the rest of your deck. You know, like, you know, ramp creatures, right, were super good for us. Our opponents would be on 1 land, and we would be on 3, already casting Samut, drawing extra cards, all that kind of stuff. And then, like I said in the intro, Urbrass Forge is really good in this deck, so I recommend cracking this guy if you haven't already. But yeah, thanks for watching. Appreciate it. Like, comment, subscribe, all that YouTube stuff. If you haven't already subscribed, if you've watched this far and haven't subscribed, what's up with that? Helps me out, helps the channel grow. You know, YouTube cares about subscriptions and all that kind of stuff. Leave a comment down below if you feel like there's you know, a commander you'd like to see me play, or maybe a card that you feel like would do really well in this deck. Thanks again for watching. Have a good one. I'll see you in the next one later.